来更新一下被楼上噪音扰民的后续。
I've been dealing with noise from my upstairs neighbor for a long time. Since November last year, I've been fighting back, and it's been about 4 months now. I installed speakers in every bedroom. During the day, I play sound on and off at random times, and at night, I let it play all night. But even with this, the noisy guy upstairs hasn't backed down. He's about 50 years old and works as an electrician. This year, he stopped going to work altogether. He stays upstairs 24/7, completely focused on fighting back against me. He thinks being upstairs gives him an advantage. Maybe he wants to force me out, but I'm not afraid. If I have the means to fight back, I will, and once I start, I won't stop. So don't believe what people say online, like leaving the house for a while and blasting speakers 24/7 to make the upstairs neighbor give in. It's not that easy. Noisy neighbors are all the same, like cockroaches that just won't go away. There's no way to make them surrender in a short time. In recent years, tensions and hostility in Chinese society have been getting worse, and conflicts between neighbors are increasing. Noise pollution and disturbances are having a serious impact on people. We don't know exactly what happened between this woman and her neighbor before things escalated to this point, but neither of them is backing down, and it's even affecting their daily lives. She says her upstairs neighbor has endless energy, and lately he's been pushing back harder. Whenever she stops her music, he deliberately makes noise to provoke her. His goal is to make her miserable. She describes this as a tug of war. She says if he were a normal person, he wouldn't be able to handle the 5 speakers blaring every day. He would have already come down to talk, but clearly, this guy isn't an ordinary person. She believes she has to adjust her strategy based on his reactions. She also mentioned that she lives on the first floor, and her upstairs neighbor has never confronted her directly. Instead, the neighbor on the 3rd floor has knocked on her door 2 or 3 times, and even called the police once, but she didn't open the door. She says, doesn't he hear the loud noise himself? Is he affected? Of course he is. He's just holding out. The question is, how long can he endure? She knows this is a long-term battle, but recently she found a new method that she's very satisfied with.
这个过程中，我不想影响其他的邻居，给自己找额外的麻烦。
I don't want to disturb other neighbors or cause myself extra trouble, so I bought these ceiling-mounted ping-pong balls and soft palm pads. I place them on the ceiling in my living room and dining room. When I have time, I can operate them manually. If I don't feel like doing it myself, I can use the electric version instead. It's effortless, doesn't require much energy, and isn't expensive. If you're worried that one ball isn't loud enough for the upstairs neighbor to hear, you can install several side by side. The rebound force is strong, and the knocking sound on the ceiling is quite loud. This way, I don't have to worry about disturbing other neighbors. After all, sound from speakers travels easily, and I have 5 of them in my home. Let's see what people in the comments are saying. Some are questioning the woman's side of the story. Why do I feel like she's the problem here? To be honest, this feels like a case of the guilty party making the first complaint. The truth must be that she loves singing and disturbs others every day, and the upstairs neighbor just couldn't take it anymore and started fighting back. Usually, the downstairs neighbor is at a disadvantage in these conflicts. A normal person would try to talk things out with the upstairs neighbor and compromise first. The only reason someone would negotiate is if they were the one in the wrong and started the conflict. Also, she mentioned that the other neighbor called the police, so why didn't they go after the upstairs neighbor? The authorities probably looked into it and understood the real situation. Others find her behavior strange. She must have a lot of free time if she can run 5 speakers all night long. Honestly, for an electrician, this level of noise probably isn't even a big deal. The only thing that could overpower him is a vibration machine. Vibration machines, also known as earthquake machines, are noise-based retaliation devices that have been banned in China. However, because they're hard to trace, some people still use them. Now, let's take a look at how these devices perform in real situations and who resorts to using them. An apartment resident complained that their downstairs neighbor had been using a vibration machine non-stop, making life unbearable. They were so frustrated that they contacted a journalist to report the issue. When the journalist spoke with the building management, staff said it was simply a noise dispute and refused to take sides. Then the journalist approached the downstairs resident. They explained that the noise from above had already driven away several of their past tenants. After repeated failed attempts to communicate, they finally resorted to using a vibration machine as retaliation. They also questioned why, now that the issue had gone public, the upstairs neighbor refused to show their face. Some online comments supported the downstairs neighbor. No one uses a vibration machine for no reason. The lady downstairs is right. If they don't even dare to show their face, maybe they're guilty. Others shared their frustrations. Guess why I'm searching for vibration machines at 4 or 5 in the morning? I'm about to explode from anger. But some quickly warned against it. Don't look for vibration machines, they're illegal. If the police get involved, you won't have any legal ground to stand on. Instead, get a bone conduction speaker and a floor-to-ceiling tension pole. These aren't illegal, and the sound travels directly upstairs without disturbing other neighbors. It's way more effective than a vibration machine. In another case, a downstairs resident kept getting woken up by loud noises from above. They had tried talking to the upstairs neighbor, but the response was, "You live downstairs, so you know your place. You need to be aware of your position, understand?" That arrogant attitude made the downstairs neighbor decide to fight back using a bone conduction speaker. 3 days later, the upstairs neighbor knocked on their door to apologize. "I had a bad attitude before. I'm sorry. Please turn off your speaker. I haven't been able to sleep for days. I promise I'll be more careful from now on." So, what exactly is a bone conduction speaker? Let's take a closer look. Bone conduction speakers work by using vibrations to cause resonance, amplifying sound through the ceiling. Once attached, they can significantly disturb the people upstairs. Over time, the continuous vibrations can make them feel restless and irritable. Now what about this? This is an upgraded version of the vibration machine, something called the Crazy Rooftop Ping Pong Ball. It is said to be technically legal. The person who uploaded the video wrote, "I'm giving my spare bedroom to the upstairs unit. Don't think you can bully others so easily. This is my first big gift to you." Not everyone in the comments is dealing with noise battles. Some are just concerned about being good neighbors. "I just bought a house, and my child is only 2.5 years old. How do people feel about kids running around during the day? At night, our child is usually in bed by 8 p.m., but during the day it's hard to control. Thankfully, in 6 months, they'll be in school." Others shared their experiences. "My upstairs and downstairs neighbors are really kind. My baby used to cry every night past midnight, and no matter how much we tried to comfort him, nothing worked. We even took him to a doctor and tried medication, but he still cried for at least 6 months. No one ever complained. One time, my sister came to visit, and when she mentioned our floor, someone asked, 'Oh, is that the place where the baby cries every night?' Some even joked about their own situations. 'I live on the top floor. If I hear noise from above, who am I supposed to complain to? A ghost?' One time, my downstairs neighbor asked if we were jumping rope late at night because they wanted to sleep. I told them, I thought that was your kid practicing for their PE exam. It turns out the noise wasn't from my place. It was from their downstairs neighbor's kid bouncing a ball." These comments show that some noise complaints come from misunderstandings, and not all neighbors are intolerant. Some people are patient and try to handle conflicts with kindness. However, there are also selfish neighbors who ignore others and even play the victim when faced with retaliation. In another video, an upstairs resident brought in a journalist to complain about their downstairs neighbor installing a vibration machine, saying they couldn't take it anymore. She explained, "At first, my child was just playing with building blocks, and when a few pieces dropped on the floor, the downstairs neighbor came to warn us, saying they'd install a vibration machine. But we didn't know what that was. Then, one night, at midnight, it suddenly started making noise and didn't stop until 2 a.m. That's when we realized something was wrong." The journalist confirmed that they could hear the noise themselves. The upstairs resident was furious and called the police, but that didn't solve the problem. In fact, things got worse. Eventually, it reached the point where every time their child jumped, the downstairs neighbor would retaliate with a vibration machine. She said she looked it up online and found that when the machine was running, it also makes the downstairs apartment extremely noisy, sometimes even louder than her own home. She couldn't understand why her downstairs neighbor was doing this. Her husband also tried calling multiple times to resolve the issue, saying, "We're all neighbors. Why does it have to be like this?" He argued that children running around, dropping building blocks, or dragging furniture were things that couldn't be completely avoided. However, the comments overwhelmingly supported the downstairs resident. Just from the way this upstairs family is explaining things, you can already tell what really happened. They act all innocent and reasonable on camera, but when they say kids making noise is unavoidable, that's where they slip up. Nobody would go to this extent over a few toy blocks falling. Don't blame everything on the child. Kids don't know any better. But what about the adults? If it were just an occasional noise, the downstairs neighbor wouldn't have brought a vibration machine. Others pointed out, "You yourself admitted that the machine makes the downstairs unit even noisier, yet they're willing to sacrifice their own peace just to retaliate. That means they must have been completely fed up with you." No one buys a vibration machine for no reason. People only resort to this when they've reached their breaking point. If children running around and toys hitting the floor are truly unavoidable, then why not put down rubber mats or carpets to reduce the noise? If you don't push someone to their limits, why would they go as far as installing a machine like that? With so many unresolved noise disputes, all kinds of bizarre products have merged online, designed to give people an outlet when they can't resolve things through normal means. Among them, the vibration machine stands out as one of the most extreme inventions. A curious user managed to get their hands on one, so let's take a look at this infamous noise weapon.
This is the vibration machine that makes life miserable for neighbors. Let's open it up and take a look. Inside, we have the main device, a few steel rods, and a power cord. Now, let's check the manual. It even comes with a remote control that lets you schedule activation. Set it to turn on in 2 hours, 4 hours, or whenever you want. It has 9 different vibration and knocking modes, so you can control how long and how intensely it operates. The machine has 3 main modes. 1. Knocking mode. This one just knocks repeatedly. 2. Vibration mode, pure vibrations. 3. Mixed mode, a combination of knocking and vibrations. Let's see how effective it really is. The vibration machine is all set up, and now we're turning it on. Let's go upstairs and check the impact. Right now, it's running on the first floor. The floor between my first and second floor is really thick, so let's see how it feels. Turning it on now. Oh wow. If you were trying to sleep at night with this knocking, it would be unbearable. Now switching to vibration mode. I'm not sure if the mic is picking it up, but I can feel the whole room shaking. Finally, let's try mixed mode. This one's the worst. It combines vibrations and knocking. The sound isn't particularly loud, but for anyone upstairs, it would be incredibly irritating and nerve-wracking. Can you hear it? Alright, let's turn it off before we actually disturb the neighbors. Now let's experience the effect from inside my own home. Turning it on. Oh my god, this thing is definitely a lose-lose weapon. While you're making your neighbor suffer, you're also making yourself miserable. There's no doubt, this thing is terrifying.
So, what should you do if your downstairs neighbor starts using a vibration machine against you? One person shared their thoughts.
Someone asked me, what should I do if my downstairs neighbor starts using a vibration machine? The answer? Talk it out. There's no better solution. Lately, I've been getting tons of questions about neighbor disputes, and about half of them are conflicts between upstairs and downstairs neighbors. Some people say, the noise from upstairs is ruining my life. I tried talking to them, but they won't change. I complained to building management and even called the police, but nothing worked. What can I do? Others say, my downstairs neighbor keeps knocking on my door, complaining that I'm too loud, but I'm just living my normal life. They even call the building management and police just to bother me. What should I do? My answer to all of you is the same. Resolve it through friendly negotiation.
He pointed out that people living upstairs should be more considerate of those below. Even normal activities like walking, moving tables, or pulling chairs can be heard clearly downstairs. If your downstairs neighbor values peace and quiet, these sounds can truly be frustrating. If you keep ignoring their complaints, they might get fed up and start using a vibration machine against you. In the end, both sides suffer. The thing is, once the downstairs neighbor starts using it out of revenge, the longer they use it, the more satisfaction they get. Meanwhile, for you, the longer it continues, the more mentally drained you become. He gave an example to illustrate the situation. Imagine your downstairs neighbor comes home from work, unlocks the door, turns on the vibration machine, locks up again, and heads to a hotel for the night. They turn off their phone, so no matter how many times you call, there's no answer. The next morning, they return, turn off the machine, and go to work. Now they finally answer your call, but they refuse to resolve the issue. What can you do? You can report it to building management or the police. But that's exactly what they did before, and it didn't help them either. So what's left? Negotiation. If you're going to end up negotiating anyway, wouldn't it be better to have done it from the start instead of escalating the conflict? Don't think, oh, my downstairs neighbor is just making a fuss. I'm the one being wronged here. In reality, the fewer troubles you have in life, the happier you'll be. An anonymous user from mainland China revealed a dark truth about vibration machines. They claimed that these devices were not originally invented for neighbor disputes. Instead, they were developed by the Chinese Communist Party to help property developers forcibly remove residents who refused to relocate. These machines were allegedly used by eviction teams to harass people and drive them out. If the device is powerful enough, it can cause severe sleep deprivation, nervous breakdowns, and even push people to the brink of insanity. Now, by coincidence, these machines have become a popular tool for dealing with noisy neighbors. However, the government fears their potential to escalate conflicts and doesn't want people questioning their origins. That's why they eventually banned them. It's clear where the root of the problem lies. But in a corrupt society, poisoned by the CCP's ideology of survival of the fittest and ruthless competition, people are filled with hostility toward each other. When dealing with completely unreasonable individuals, the best option is to avoid them. However, sometimes avoidance isn't possible, and legal measures don't provide a solution. In such cases, making the other party experience the same suffering may be unfortunate, but it's often the most effective response.